Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at the new Espossito, the latest release in Bandai's 30 Minutes Missions line of kits. This one's quite interesting because not only does it have a very cool robot form, which I really quite like, it's probably one of my favorites out in the line so far, but this one also transforms, which is quite interesting. So let's go ahead and crack open the box, see what it's like. So just taking a look briefly here at the front, if you've built any of the 30 Minutes Missions kits before, it's all looking pretty standard here. You just got an image of what the kit is going to look like there, just a CG render anyway. But here's what it looks like transformed, and I can't say that it's a very cool looking transformation to be honest, but it is interesting just the fact that it does transform, and I'm sure there's different ways to go about it, so we'll check all that out during the review. But it is a really cool design here in mobile suit form, or I guess like in robot form, we can say. Over here on the side of the box, this is number 40 in the line, so they're certainly getting up there in numbers of how many 30 Minutes Missions kits they've released at this point. On the side of the box here is just talking about some of the articulation, but as we're all well aware, the articulation of these is quite nice, so that's not going to be a surprise to anyone. Here's the wing rifle. It's got two of those and just a couple of action shots there, and changed to the flight mode. And I will admit, at least the flight mode, it doesn't necessarily look like a folded up robot or something, so it's better looking than some flight modes. But there is a customized plan here showing if you combine this with one of the extended armament vehicles, the air fighter version, which I have taken a look at in a previous review. But if you combine these together, of course, you can make the flight mode look even more interesting there, it looks like. Taking a look around here on the other side, we just got a simple look at what the kit is going to look like straight up out of the box, built up without any paint or anything, front, back, transformed in flight mode, front and back. And as you guys can see, it's a pretty thin box, so it's not going to be a whole lot of stuff in here. Should be a relatively quick, straightforward process of getting this kit all put together. Taking a look at the instructions right there on the top, you got some more information about the Espossito and the Espossito Beta. I guess there are a difference between the two of those. Anyway, I should have specified this is the Espossito Beta, as it is actually part of the name, but you got a bunch of information here also about the backstory. That's all there in Japanese and in English. Down here, some more cool artwork images of that. The back of the manual is just some part of the construction, and this manual is going to be color on one side and black and white on the other for the construction, but on our color side, that is also going to include the parts list and the first part of the construction, and also this bit here at the back about just like the last part of the transformation there, it looks like, and then combining this with different things to again make it into a customized version using some other different 30 Minutes Missions parts to customize that. So obviously we're all well aware of how you can do that. Let's go ahead and check out the runners. So we don't have any foil stickers or anything included with this, but we do have some poly caps here, PC7 in gray for some ball joints. The runner A here is going to be in three colors. We have one clear green piece over here on the side for the visor, which looks nice. You have some kind of medium gray up at the top and bottom, and then that light lavender color, which also does look quite nice for some armor pieces. Then A2 is going to be a copy of this section of the runner right there. Runner B is going to be our standard 30 Minutes Missions frame runner here in a medium gray, so this is just going to be all of our joint parts and everything, very familiar for 30 Minutes Missions builders. Then we got some more white armor pieces. Here is runner C1 with a bunch on there. As usual, we got some really nice detail around on these parts. Then we got runner C2, we've got two of the C2 runner, and then we've also got runner C3, so some copies of some of those parts, and that's it. So like I said, not a ton of stuff in the box, but I love the color scheme and I really like the design, so let's go ahead and get it put together and see how it looks. Alright, so here it is all built up, and it definitely looks very cool. You got a lot of really nice detail on there, as per the norm with the 30 Minutes Missions line, but obviously all those white sections are going to look a lot better once you detail those up using some Panaline wash or detail painting or something anyway. And no doubt this is a pretty cool design. I really like the extra long, big legs that it's got, but I think standing is not necessarily the best way to display this. I think getting this up on an action base and getting this posed in some sort of aerial dynamic pose is definitely going to be the way to go with this one, so we'll definitely have to do that. And just like with the original Alto kit, it's kind of fine on its own, but it definitely cries out for customization. Of course, that just kind of is the whole theme of the line, so it totally makes sense. But let's go ahead and just check it out, at least what we got in the box here. So first off, you got a couple of extra little connector bits here, which are not necessarily going to be used, but it says to just use them if you want to use those for something. And then the main accessory, of course, is just going to be the two rifles. So you got two of these. They're pretty easy, just a couple of parts, but you don't have any seam lines, which is nice. It's just made up as a Panaline detail going all the way around to hide the seams on that, but just fairly simple, just fits right down at the hand. Obviously, we don't have any other hand options for like a trigger finger hand, it just fits into there like that, but it looks good enough, I gotta say. As for the articulation of the kit itself, the head is on a double joint that will allow it to go up to there, which is pretty good considering that the back of the head is quite large, and then down all the way to there. The clear part does also look really nice. You can see like some detail up inside there, so that looks very cool. Got a couple of points of articulation here in the midsection, so it'll be up there and down here, and then of course the ball joint, which combines the top and bottom sections there together. So the back bend is actually quite far. The forward bend, you got a little bit there as well. You can bend it to the side a little bit here and there, and then some rotation in the midsection. Of course, on the shoulders, this part on the top of the shoulder actually lifts up like that. The whole shoulder armor itself can be rotated up. You can bring the arm up. The shoulder joint here, the polycap joint, is the type that will rotate forward and back. So that'll just bring the shoulder to the front a little bit like so. The arm can then rotate there at the top. The elbow is just a single joint, but that will allow you a pretty good bend there. The wrist is just on a ball joint. Going down here to the skirt sections, we obviously don't have any front or back skirts that will move at all. Side skirts will move up and down, and these extra bits are just attached onto the side of there, so you don't necessarily have to have those on. You can just have the side skirts like that. And now this is one of the problems that I don't necessarily really like about the design, because you've got these big chunky legs, and then like the hip sections, especially being exposed without any front skirts to cover this up. I feel like this is really missing some kind of front skirt right here, because it just looks really kind of weird. I have this really tiny waist, really tiny hip section, and then these big massive legs. I don't know, it looks kind of strange. But the hip joint up inside there can be extended down and forward to be able to bring the leg up all the way to here. Got a double joint there in the knee, separating this knee armor there like that for a nice full bend there with that. The foot can go side to side, and then this is just attached via a ball joint, and it's pointing back like that. That is correct how it's supposed to do it, but if you wanted to, you could actually have it pointing forward and have it with some like actual feet. It looks kind of funny, but you could do that if you wanted to. So basic articulation here for this, if you built any of the 30 minutes missions kits, it's all pretty familiar. Obviously you can see it's got lots of hard points around on here for attaching other pieces. This connection piece right here for adding parts onto the front of the knee, even on the back of the thighs. Of course the backpack, even the back of the head, you got hard points around everywhere for adding on parts to this, and I feel like that's definitely something I'm going to want to do with mine, adding more parts onto it to bulk it out some more. And for a quick size comparison, you can see normally the 30 minutes missions kits are pretty in line with just your standard HG 1/44 scale Gundam kits, but obviously with this one being so leggy, it's going to be especially taller, but generally about the same size. And here's the kit transformed, and again, transformed, it's an interesting concept, and the way of everything's shaped, I mean, it doesn't necessarily look like it's just like a folded up robot, even though that is definitely very clearly what it is. I think it does a pretty good job of just folding itself in on itself, but it just still looks a little bit lacking. You definitely still are going to want some extra option parts to give it some wings or something, because as it is just sort of like a rocket essentially with some guns attached onto it. As you guys know, I'm not normally all that interested in transforming mecha, and this one is not really an exception to that rule, but I feel like this one would be a lot cooler if you had some extra parts on it. So the example that it shows you on the outside of the box, combining this with the Airfighter extended arms vehicle, I think is definitely a great idea, or any other options. You could use like wing parts from the flight type Alto for another example of combining some parts with that. With this, I think would also make for a pretty good match, but it's an interesting transformation anyway. But taking a look at this guy up on an action base and trying out some different dynamic posing with this, obviously it's going to be a really fun kit to play around with, and like I mentioned at the start, it's going to look much better when you get this up in some action poses. I think it's a cool design, and it looks fine just standing on its own, but definitely once you've got it in some action poses, it's going to look nicer, and I think it's going to look even better once you add some other option parts and accessories and things like that onto it. But even if you don't want to go that route and you just want to stick with just the main kit here, I think it does make for a pretty cool kit. The side skirt extra pieces there, you can use those as shields on the arms, which is pretty cool. I mean, you can attach them anywhere you might want, but I think that's a pretty cool option to do with those. They make for pretty cool shield parts. The rifles obviously can be attached onto the side skirts as well in place of those using the connector pieces that you have. That's another cool option that you can do with those. Obviously, just with the one couple of adapter pieces that you have with this kit, there's some cool things that you could do with that, with the rifles and the shields and stuff. But there's not a ton of customization with what you can do with just what's in the box. There are some nice options, and it is just a really cool looking design at the end of the day. So definitely got to give this a thumbs up. I really like this one, and I'm definitely looking forward to working on this some more in the future. I definitely plan on customizing it with some other parts, so I'm not sure exactly quite what yet. I'll have to think some more about that. But for now, guys, let me know what you all think of this new design here from the 30 Minutes Missions line. Is it one that you really like? Is it one you're planning on picking up? Let me know. And of course, a big thank you to USA Gundam Store for making it all possible. If you want to check out some of these kits for yourself, we've got them all there at USA Gundam Store. The link and the coupon code for you guys to use will be down in the video description as always. And if you guys feel like liking the video, commenting, and or subscribing, that would all be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for your support. Until next time, hope you all having a great day. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.